Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are unpacking something truly fascinating, highly ambitious, and definitely esoteric. We're looking at a comprehensive philosophy that is designed to fundamentally shift human understanding. Now, what's absolutely crucial to know right out of the gate is that all of the source articles we are analyzing today are authored by one person, Xu Feng, the founder of the movement known as Lifechanyuan. Through his vast writings, he lays out what he calls a total blueprint for the new era. And we're going to break down exactly what that means for the evolution of humanity. Okay, let's dive into this. Right at the core of Xu Feng's teachings is a concept he calls Lifechanyuan consciousness, which you'll also hear referred to as the new era value. According to his texts, humanity isn't just supposed to be mildly changing its habits right now. We're actually facing an inevitable, radical evolutionary leap. Xu Feng argues that the current version of humanity is basically going to be eliminated and purified. We'll be stepping away from a purely physical existence into a state governed entirely by spiritual and soul energy. Essentially, he claims our survival will no longer depend on material things. And honestly, that is a massive paradigm shift for how we view our day-to-day existence. So, here is our roadmap for navigating Xu Feng's philosophy today. We're covering the new era value, the internet is a spiritual tool, consciousness, energy, and structure, time and space, and finally, awakening from the dream. Section 1. The New Era Value, a Universal Synthesis. This is where Lifechanyuan attempts an incredibly ambitious merger of ancient global wisdom and modern scientific theory. I mean, Xu Feng cites an almost dizzying array of influences. On one hand, you have channeled and spiritual texts like the Law of One and A Course in Miracles. Then you've got traditional and modern masters ranging from Lao Tzu to Christ, all the way to modern gurus like Osho. And then he folds in scientific and fringe scientific fields like uranology, parapsychology, and space theory. By bringing all of this together, Xu Feng acts as this ultimate compiler, using this all-inclusive foundation to establish his new era value. But how does one unite all those totally disparate ideas without just creating total chaos? Well, the text uses a really vivid metaphor. Think of all those philosophies and sciences as a multitude of disconnected pearls. Xu Feng states that Lifechanyuan's whole purpose is to string these pearls together onto a single thread, and that thread is what he calls following the path of the greatest creator. This massive synthesis is purposefully designed to give humanity a bright, crystal-clear developmental path so we just don't get lost in the noise of all these competing belief systems. Section 2. Internet as Spiritual Tool, the Divine Network. Now this is where we encounter a highly surprising pivot. You'd probably expect a philosophy dealing with ancient spirituality to shun modern tech, right? But no, Xu Feng completely embraces a highly pragmatic digital modernism. He asserts that the computer network was literally born for the new era, describing the internet as this tremendous energy storage resource. And get this, he claims its value far exceeds coal, oil, and incredibly, even the energy provided by the sun. It is such a fascinating assertion, framing a human-made digital network as a limitless, almost divine energy resource that is absolutely essential for human evolution. And that brings us to what Xu Feng calls the principle of minimum drag. He views the old pattern of spreading religion, things like handwritten letters or holding localized physical sermons, as entirely obsolete. Clinging to those old traditions is just a dead end. The new era way is the internet. It's rapid, it's economical, and it perfectly aligns with this principle of minimum drag. According to his writings, if you want to actually step into the Lifechanyuan era, you simply have to accept and utilize this digital shift. Section 3. Consciousness, Energy, and Structure, the Cosmic View. Let's zoom way out to the macro level for a second. How does Xu Feng actually structure the entire universe? Well, according to the source material, the universe is composed of exactly 3 interconnected elements. The first is consciousness. Specifically, the text states the whole universe is a great consciousness referred to as the greatest creator. The other 2 elements are energy and structure. The core cosmological claim here is that the entire physical material world we interact with every single day is merely an embodiment of this macro consciousness shaping energy into a physical structure. Now, what's really interesting about this is this specific number, 36. Xu Feng's universe doesn't just operate in 3 dimensions, or even the complex multidimensional models of modern string theory. He outlines a totally mind-bending model of a 36-dimensional space. This impossibly vast structure is basically the playground for the soul, which the text insists is immortal and merely swaps out its physical carrier as its consciousness evolves and moves through these dimensions. So how exactly are we supposed to behave in a 36-dimensional universe? Lifechanyuan actually provides very specific, actionable doctrines. Interestingly, it notes that the creator's nature is fundamentally sex, love, and Tao. There is a massive emphasis on love, purifying the heart by actively loving yourself, others, nature, and the gods. Notably, Shufang actively discourages pursuing things like wizardry or extrasensory perception. The focus is always on practical understanding, not supernatural magic. And comfortingly, the text insists there are no divine trials. Gods do not bring the soul to judgment. You are entirely responsible for your own destiny.
Section 4. Time, Space, and Love. Navigating Dimensions.
So how do we navigate through all those dimensions? In Shuifeng's framework, time is definitely not fixed or linear the way we normally experience it. The past, present, and future are actually all closely linked together through what he calls time and space tunnels. Because everything in the universe is driven by consciousness, the text asserts that if you change your consciousness, you can literally alter the past, the present, and the future. There is nothing changeless in this model. Consciousness is the ultimate driving force of reality, completely reshaping time itself. Section 5. Awakening from the Dream, the Individual Journey. All right, let's zoom back down to the micro level now. What do these massive cosmic concepts mean for you, the individual practitioner, on a normal Tuesday? Shufang takes a really firm, uncompromising stance. We are basically living in a fantasy land. He writes that our souls are in a state of dead sleep, trapped by habitual thinking that completely prevents us from seeing reality. The individual journey requires waking up from this dream state. Furthermore, the text claims that all physical diseases are just reflections of a defective spirit and mind, meaning waking up and fundamentally altering your consciousness is the ultimate cure for literally all ailments. Let's see how this builds, because to achieve this awakening, Shufang prescribes a very specific 6-step mental evolution that you have to actively practice. You have to transition your mind from basic matter thinking, being obsessed with physical objects and limitations, up through visualized thinking, elusive thinking, heart image thinking, taiji thinking, until you finally reach the ultimate stage, holographic order thinking. This isn't just about memorizing new facts, it's a profound structural change to the mind itself. This accumulation of mental changes, Shufang claims, eventually hits a critical point leading to alienation, where a person literally transforms into a celestial being. Shufang illustrates the sheer urgency of this message with a really evocative metaphor. He says clinging to the physical, outdated values of the past is like riding in a slow carriage. But adopting the new era consciousness, that's like boarding a spaceship. He argues that making this transition isn't just a nice idea, it's an absolute necessity, an inevitable wave of history for those who want to experience true freedom and avoid being left behind. Which brings us to a final thought to ponder. Shufang's vision for Lifechanyuan is incredibly vast, deeply integrating ancient spirituality with this bold modern declaration that the internet is a divine energy source. But as esoteric spiritual movements rapidly adapt to our highly digital age, we really have to ask, will the internet truly become our ultimate tool for expanding consciousness and reaching that 36th dimension? Or is it simply another slow carriage hiding in a shiny new disguise? Thank you for exploring this fascinating explainer with me today. Keep learning and keep asking questions.